worship Christ. So here it is. It says, send her away, for she crieth after us. Man, they are so deceived, Elder. How foolish is that, Elder folks? She crieth after us. They have the wrong appetite. They really did. They had a real problem. She's crying after Jesus. And so many people that come through this door, so many people that don't come through the door. They need Jesus. They're hungry for the wrong things. They never tasted the goodness of the Lord because it's never been introduced to them properly. Listen, I don't care who you are. You can't give me a steak on a garbage can pail. You can't do it. It's my favorite food and I'm still not going to eat it. You can't, now on a garbage can pail, you can throw onions on top of that baby and I still won't eat it. So it says, but he answered and said, I am not sent but unto the lost sheep of the house of Israel. Now what I like about what Jesus did is Jesus, first he didn't say anything, Evangelist Pfeiffer. And don't be mistaken, Jesus is still teaching in the silence. Some of us, we have been hungry for him. We've been wanting to hear him, but we can't hear him. But don't be mistaken that he's not present just because you can't hear him. Many of us make that mistake and we'll walk away from him and start dining off something else. But let's not be deceived because that's what the devil wants. Just because we can't hear him doesn't mean he is not present and relevant in our lives. So then when he does speak, he says something that she doesn't want to hear, which really he is representing the attitude of the Jews and the scribes and the Pharisees that are around him. When he says, I am not sent but unto the lost sheep of the house of Israel. What he's saying is that I've come for the Jews. That's what I'm here for. I'm not here for you. Representing their attitude. Not that he was dissing her for real, but he was showing them how raggedy their attitudes were. You thought they would have caught it. So then it says, then came she and worshipped him some more, I would say, saying, Lord, just help me. This lady was hungry, y'all. Because she done been insulted. She done heard them say, throw her out. She has not received a word from the Lord. He ended her. And then when he turned around and said something, it wasn't what she wanted to hear, and she still worshipped. Oh my God, this lady is hungry. Some of us would have been left. You know what, forget them. I ain't even going to church no more. You know why I don't go to church? That's why I hear them speak. You know why I don't go to church? Some of the biggest hypocrites are in the church. I'm like, do you go to a bank though? Because some of the biggest hypocrites are in the bank. You know people steal at banks. People get caught stealing at banks, but yet you still take your money to a bank. Do you go to the grocery store? Your cashier is probably not saying, but you still go to the grocery store. So really that's just an excuse to justify where you are. Self-justification. There it goes again. I'm just justifying why I'm not where I know I'm supposed to be. Because you know some of the people in the church are the biggest liars. They're the biggest this. What you think when you go into a hospital? You act like you're surprised that you see sick people when you come to a hospital? That's what this is. This is the hospital. It's sick people in here. We in need of Christ. So it says here that it says, he answered and said, it is not meet to take the children's bread. I told you this was all about eating and hunger. And cast it to the dogs? Now it seems like Jesus is insulting her. But really, again, he's trying to tell this. They called people who were not Jews dogs during this time. It was to let them know that they were not Jews, identify them as heathens. Amen. So Jesus again is showing them their attitude. So he said, it's not meet for me to take the children's bread. The children would be the people of Israel. That's the house I came to first. That's the people who I came for. They are the chosen people. He said, it's not meet for me to take their bread and give it to the dogs or the people that are heathens or the people who are not of the children of Israel. And so it seems like an insult. And she says, you know what? True, Lord. I love this lady. Yet the dogs eat of the crumbs which fall from the master's table. You know what it seemed like she said, Elder? I am hungry, though. I need you, Lord. I'm hungry like never before. Go ahead and ignore me, insult me. Those disciples can say what they want about me, but I'm just hungry for you. I'm hungry, Lord. So you know what? If I gotta be a dog, I'll be a dog. Just feed me till I won't no more. Because even the crumbs from your table will give me life and everlasting life. So it says, she said the truth, yet the dogs eat the crumbs which fall from the master's table. And then Jesus said unto her, O woman, faith. Be it unto thee even as thou wilt. He said, be it unto me even as thou wilt. You know, here's the problem. Here's the scribes and the Pharisees that believe they know him, but don't have a clue about who he is. Here are the disciples walking with him, but they don't really have an understanding of his spirit. But here's a woman who he don't call a dog, who worships him as a true Messiah. She is hungry for him. He couldn't help but to identify her faith. He said, you know what, woman? You got my attention. He said, great is your faith. Be it unto thee even as thou wilt. And her daughter was made whole from that very hour. The thing she was hungry for, God delivered. He provided deliverance in it. So it says, and Jesus departed from thence and came nigh unto the sea of Galilee and went up into a mountain and sat down there. Great multitudes came unto him, having with them those that were lame, blind, dumb, maimed, and many others, and cast them down at Jesus' feet, and he healed them. Now the thing I like about this is they were lame, blind, dumb, and crippled, and they came to Jesus. Because some of us know we lame. We know we're crippled. We're not in a physical sense, but in a spiritual sense. And we just have decided to stay just like that. I ain't dying no more than I have to die. I'll stay crippled first. We'd rather stay crippled, lame, and blind than come and get a healing or get deliverance. And so then it says here, it says that, and the blind to see, and they glorified the God of Israel. They began to glorify God. Then Jesus called his disciples unto him and said, I have compassion on the multitude. Why? They came with all these illnesses. They're hungry for me. But not only are they hungry for me, I've been feeding them for 3 days. They've been with me, and they haven't eaten any natural food. Right. So I have compassion on them. Because how many of y'all know when we feast off God, he supplies our spiritual needs and also our natural needs. If you don't believe me, see God when you're in trouble with a bill. Because we probably got in trouble with the bill in the first place because we wasn't seeking God. Because if we was following the precepts of God, we wouldn't be in trouble with the bill. How do I know that? Because of the principles he gives us for abundance. Right. He said, you sow, you reap. You sow, you reap. So when we sow, we're going to reap. He's not a man that he should lie. God's principles will work for anybody. You don't have to be saved. Right. His principles will work for anybody. If a farmer who is not saved and don't know anything about Jesus goes out into his land and begins to plant corn, he's going to come back and he's going to see some type of harvest. That's sowing and reaping. Yep. Seed time and harvest time. That's going to operate for anybody. Yep. So he says that I have compassion on them. They've been with me 3 days and they've had nothing to eat. So I'm not going to send them away fasting unless they were faint in the way. So he was concerned about them. And I believe the fact that they were hungry, he was led to have compassion on them. So it said his disciples said unto him, when should we have so much bread in the wilderness as to fill so great a multitude? His disciples still didn't have a clue. Because he had already fed 5,000, didn't he? 2 fish, I believe, was 5 loaves. He had already fed 5,000. They didn't remember. They talking about where we going to get all this bread from to feed all these people. Don't you know Jesus is the bread of life? So what happens is, it says, and the disciple says unto him, where are we going to get all this bread from in the wilderness to fill such a great multitude? And Jesus said unto them, how many loaves do you have? And they said 7 and a few little fish. And he commanded the multitude to sit down on the ground, and he took the 7 loaves and the fishes, and he gave thanks, and he broke them and gave to his disciples, and the disciples to the multitude. Now, I want to say this right here. My husband showed me something in the scriptures. He said he heard T.D. Jakes say it. And honest to goodness, he didn't know what I was going to talk about today. He didn't know what I was going to talk about. I was reading the thing. Look, I didn't even know. I was reading the thing, and when I was reading the thing and I was showing him, he started talking about what he was talking about. I was showing him what I was reading. But what he said is, he said, if you notice in the scriptures, he said, I heard a message, and he said, he took the 7 loaves, elder, and the fishes, and he gave thanks. Jesus took the 7 loaves, and he gave thanks. So he blessed it. And then he broke them. He broke them apart. And he didn't give them directly to the multitude. He gave it to the disciples. Boom. The disciples began to feed the multitude. Boom. But here's what happened. We don't want to eat if it doesn't come straight from Jesus.